friends. And it was, kind of a mild idea that, well, of course we knew we could spin the egg, but we never really knew that if we started bumping the table back and forth, that we could actually keep the egg spinning. Well, not only did we bump the table back and forth, but we picked the table up and we started swinging the table. And we could throw and catch the egg, and we were all just elated by the discovery. And it's kind of a harebrained idea, I will admit that. But coincidentally, in 1987, another very important thing happened. The United States government and NASA launched the Hubble Space Telescope into outer space. And they confirmed something that they already knew, but it was quite an amazing discovery. When they pointed the Hubble telescope at planet Earth, they saw that our planet was not exactly a sphere. What they determined was that the planet was a spinning egg-shaped object. It's an oblate spheroid. Not only is our planet egg-shaped, but all of these children learned this week that a circle has 360 degrees in it, but a year has 365 days. And so the path of the Earth around the sun is not a perfect circle. It's actually, what'd you say?
An egg-shape.
That's right, it's an ellipse. The planet travels in an ellipse around the sun. Now, life, as we know it, almost all life, comes from an egg. Can you think of anything that doesn't come from an egg? Has anybody been able to discover that? What doesn't come from an egg? Exactly. So humans, we all come from eggs. Fish come from eggs. Reptiles come from eggs. Most all animals, mammals come from eggs. Even plants start with seeds. And seeds, most seeds are egg-shaped. Well, so I set about my way 15 years ago making egg games. And I found great success. I started at craft fairs and farmers markets and country fairs, and my goal was to get children working together with their parents to figure out how to get an egg spinning and how to keep it spinning with a round board. Pretty nebulous concept, but again, each of us comes from an egg. Now everybody probably recognizes these folks on my t-shirt, right? You've seen these guys before. They're world leaders, right? We have Barack Obama, everybody recognizes him, and Ahmadinejad, he's our friend from Iran. Did anybody know the first university in the world was actually in Iran? Is there anybody that knew that? One person. How's that? Well, we have over here Benjamin Netanyahu, who looks a little bit like George Bush, but it's not. This is the Prime Minister of Israel. And now all these guys are working together to try to do what? They're trying to keep some eggs spinning, right? But in actuality, they're all working together to try to keep us all here, and all of us happy and healthy and wealthy and wise. And that's a big chore, right? So, the beautiful thing about the egg game is it brings people together to learn how to communicate and how to cooperate. Now, a lot of you guys have learned what cooperation is, right? What is cooperation? Working together. But communication, that's more difficult. That's what we learned. This week, I asked the classes, what is communication? And 90% of them were able to say that communication is talking, sharing ideas. But there was one person in all of the groups that came through that raised her hand and said that communication is listening. That, to me, is an astounding thing, because, and what that proves is that each of us are ethnocentric. Does anybody know what that means?
Yes.
We're all the center of our own universe, right? That's right. And our ethnocentricities are what drive us apart. Now, seeing as we're all ethnocentric, there's got to be things that bring us together, right? And one of those things is that human beings, cross-culturally, pan-geographically, all love to play. Game brings us together. So yes, we're all ethnocentric. We are all the center of our own universe. We all come from a different point of origin. Culturally, we're different. We may speak a different language. But truly, what brings us together is the simple fact that human beings, we're all created equal, no matter where we come from, we all love to play. Is there anybody here that does not like to play at all? Never plays, no games, nothing? I don't see any hands up. Oh, one person. Well, granted, there are some exceptions to the rule, but still. So, I was studying engineering and anthropology, and children learned that engineering is math and science, the study of math and science, and that anthropology is the study of people. So, my challenge with the A game is to bring people together with science. Science is an unspoken language. There are scientific principles that we cannot even describe, but people can see them, optically, whatever it is. A rainbow, for example. Everybody's seen a rainbow, right? Hard to explain a rainbow, right? But still, we all feel, wow, that's a beautiful thing, that rainbow. So, that is science, my friends. Science is an unspoken language. Now, also, communication is an unspoken language. 90% of communication is nonverbal, right? We know that 50% is listening, right? And 50% is broadcasting. It's a two-way street. But in that 50% of broadcasting, I'm making gestures, my body language, the things I do, the way I stand, all of this stuff affects the people around me. And so, bringing people together to understand communication and cooperation is actually, turns out, pretty significant. So 87 was a big year, right? We came up with the Hubble telescope and the original egg game. I don't know why I moved those things in the same category, but that's me patting myself on the back. In 1974, and people ask me this question all the time. In fact, a group of fifth graders sent me a wonderful packet of thank you letters up to Montana. How did you invent the egg game? Can you show us more tricks with the egg game? And I came down here and I showed these guys pretty much all my tricks. I showed them my video. But I didn't really take any time to explain to them how I came up with the egg game. So I'm going to take that time right now. In 1974, I was in the second grade in a town called Boston, Mass. Has anybody been to Boston? All right. It's like a few of you guys. Anybody seen a Red Sox game? All right. Well, those are the finer things in life. In Boston, in 1974, there were problems. There was a judge. His name was Arthur Gary. He was a federal court judge. And he deemed that the Boston City schools were unconstitutional. They didn't have enough of an integrated population. Okay, there were too many children with brown skin in one school, in one neighborhood, and there were too many children with white skin in one school, in another neighborhood, and that in America, our goal is to integrate our children. And why we know that's important actually stems from farming. In farming, we learned years and years ago that monocropping, in particular with chemicals, destroys the land. Over time, if you grow the same crop in the same place, your land will go fallow. So, there's a school in agriculture now, they call it permaculture, and what permaculture does is it maximizes diversity. Not only do we plant fruit trees, we plant salad greens, we plant everything in diversity, and our land lasts long and prospers. So we know that within schools, and let me backtrack again, because in 74, this ruling what they figured out was that they could integrate schools by taking a handful of kids. Everybody listening? Okay. Taking a handful of kids from one neighborhood and blending them in another neighborhood. So I was one of those kids that got to go to an all-brown-skinned school, and it was quite an experience, let me tell you. On the playground, where we were used to jumping rope with one rope, some of these children were jumping rope with 2 ropes. It was really amazing. It was like the next level, and we went out to the playground and we played and we learned and we shared with our brothers and sisters from different backgrounds, and we learned quite a lot. It was a wonderful experience. 2 weeks into it, a bunch of people, townspeople, decided that they didn't like this idea, and they threw rocks at our bus. And this made national news. Some of you parents may remember this. They broke some windows in our school, and the teachers went on strike. They did this to protect the children, to keep the children safe. And so we went our merry ways. From that point on, I continued with my education. I made my way to higher education. And my sophomore year of college, I came up with this game. Now, people asking, how did you come up with this game? And today, what I'm doing is getting children to work together cooperatively, not to throw stones, and certainly not to throw stones at one another, but to spin them cooperatively. Eggs in particular represent each and every one of us. I've had a lot of success stories. There was a special ed classroom in Lagunitas, California, Marin County, that kept one egg spinning for 4 hours. Now, you know that autistic kids have a tendency to hyper-focus on things. And oftentimes they get set aside in the classroom with word games or crossword puzzles where they sort of self-stimulate. If you can get a group of kids to hyper-focus on communication and cooperation, you're really achieving something if you're an educator. And so that's one of the great success stories. Another story came last spring in Kalispell, Montana, my hometown. We had a science fair, and 10 children kept 15 eggs spinning. Wow, 15 eggs spinning. Well, here this week we had groups of 6 people, and each one of these groups of 6 were able to keep 6 eggs spinning. With a little help from Eggman. But that's my mission. That's what I'm doing. And so, what they're realizing now, it's 30 years later, they reviewed the Boston schools, by the way. It hasn't gotten much better. But what they're realizing, and this is the exception here, you guys are really blessed. This is a wonderful school and a wonderful community. And I venture to guess each and every one of you knows one another, and very seldom do you have any problems. Sometimes we quarrel or whatnot. Stop and take an egg break. Next time you have a disagreement with one of your friends, try to keep an egg spinning. It'll bring you guys together, help you to work it out. But in inner cities, it's very different. There are a lot of challenges in education, and generally by 5th grade, they've studied this. Most children are disenfranchised by their education. In other words, they're no longer interested. And that is because very few teachers are taking the time to teach activities and curriculums that are culturally integrated and relevant. And so, I'm sort of filling that niche, and this is, I think, why I was invited down here today. I didn't originally think that I was even an educator, but here I am, 15 years later. I work in 3,000 schools. There are 14 different nations that use my curriculum. Children don't even need to speak the same language to play the egg game. There are a lot of preschools that use it, but there are a lot of science classrooms. 3 years ago, Thomas Edison's Foundation purchased my curriculum for their schools. There's 150 schools that use my science curriculum in the summertime to teach children physics. It's hands-on, and that is how we learn best. Guys, was it true? Did you learn a lot? What direction does the planet spin? Clockwise or counterclockwise? That's right. That's right. And what is the shape of the Earth? Like an oblate spheroid. It's easy to remember things when you understand them. Is that true? All right. Well, thanks for listening. That's my story. It's been great to meet you. feel free to check out my website, egggaming.com. It's easy to review. There's a lot of videos and the whole curriculum's on it. So thanks so much. Thanks for being here. Thank you for joining me.
With a high-quality Trailside Elementary Trailblazer shirt, and there are people playing on the back, so I know you'll appreciate that. And making you an honorary Trailblazer. So, in December, this is your teachers are going to tell you what opportunities you have to become a scientist too. All right, moving on. Now, slam. We are going to announce our Trailblazers, starting with the students who are receiving the awards for being most improved this year. Attention has earned him the right to the Platinum Toy Award of the Year, which is really special. Let's give Eric a big round of applause.
It's really great to be here. It's been a wonderful 2 days working with all your children. And I wanted to just take a minute to introduce your parents to the Egg Game. Most people have never seen the original Egg Game, so do you mind if I show these guys how it goes? I'll take that as a no. Okay, excellent. So, in 1987, I was studying engineering and anthropology at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, when I spun an egg, a stone egg it was, on a round table with some friends. And it was, kind of a mild idea that, well, of course we knew we could spin the egg, but we never really knew that if we started bumping the table back and forth, that we could actually keep the egg spinning. Well, not only did we bump the table back and forth, but we picked the table up and we started swinging the table. And we could throw and catch the egg, and we were all just elated by the discovery. So, it's kind of a harebrained idea, I will admit that. But coincidentally, in 1987, another very important thing happened. The United States government and NASA launched the Hubble Space Telescope into outer space. And they confirmed something that they already knew. But it was quite an amazing discovery. When they pointed the Hubble telescope at the planet Earth, they saw that our planet was not exactly a sphere